Hi, I'm Grant Twiss, and I am a father, probably first and foremost. Try to be as much of a family man as I can be. Then I do fiber activations for Clearwave. Just started that job in August, and it's been a whole new world. I grew up in Harrisburg, lived in Washington State for 6 years, and moved back and got married to a girl from Canada. I do photography as a, I don't know, side hustle, semi professional, I guess you call it. I make a little bit of money on it, but it's not anywhere near my main thing. So
Hobby.
It's a hobby for sure, and I love it. It's very cathartic. It became more and more important through the pandemic when everybody was so isolated. It gave me some reason to get out and do some things and something to do. And a lot of what you're seeing here was done in those 2 years. So
Well, what inspires you to shoot in the way that you shoot?
So I think that I start, I guess, at the beginning. I bought the camera, my first camera, when we had our daughter in 2018, late 2018. It's been almost exactly 4 years now, so November. And I thought I'd just, we were going to try to save some money on family portraits and stuff, but ended up being a whole different thing. So my dad came to visit. I remember that May when my wife was pregnant, and we went out, drove around, went to Heron Pond, and hiked out to Ghost Dance Canyon. And I kind of thought, I'd never heard of these places. I didn't know they even existed, And I said, if I haven't, and I've lived here all my life, a lot of other people probably haven't either. So when I got my camera, I was already thinking in my mind, I'd taken some pictures with my cell phone, and I thought they were pretty cool. And so I thought, well, I'll go out and start documenting the area. Doug Seagraves, who's also a photographer, he showed me the Shawnee National Forest map that Joe Littleton made. And that kind of sparked the interest in all the waterfalls. And then that became a long exposure obsession with, making the sort of creamy waterfall photos. And some people like them, some people don't, whatever. I like it because long exposure is a challenge. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and I like challenges. So that's what, made me kind of focus on that particular style of water flowing photography, I guess, creek photography.
So the trick is long exposure.
That's what makes the sort of flowing look. Whereas if you take a short exposure, everything's kind of frozen. Which I have another couple pictures like that. I think one of them's over there somewhere, but where you capture that, and that looks really cool if there's a lot of water flowing. But unfortunately, around here, you get mostly trickly waterfalls, and they look a little bit prettier. Like this one you kind of have the flow here. But anyway. And I don't know, I kind of got into the night sky maybe 6 to 8 months later, 2019, that summer. I think Matt Linson, there was a photographer named Matt Linson I started following him on Instagram, and he had taken a shot out of the God of the Gods. And I hadn't really thought about dark sky or anything until I saw that, and then did a lot of research. It's a pretty big learning curve, but so the stars are very much not really something I was ever interested in before, and so the photography kind of brought me into that realm. But now it's maybe I'm starting to learn more about that, and knowing where everything is in the sky, and everything's really fascinating to me. So that's very inspiring. A lot of the things that are up there, are just gorgeous, and I'm really wanting to go into like a better tracker and a telescope. They really get closer to those objects, because there's a lot of detail and stuff that I can't reach right now with what I have. So that's a lot of money.
Well, I was going to ask, Nikon or Canon?
Well, right now I started out with Pentax, actually.
Oh wow!
And really just because the research I did, star tracking is really important so that the stars don't blur and you pick up more light. If you're tracking the stars, and Pentax is the only brand that has a built-in star tracker, like the sensor actually moves. So who were some of your favorite teachers? Are you self-taught, or did somebody really inspire you? I would say with photography, mostly self-taught, especially recently, and with the night sky stuff, it's almost all just my own research. But I I've always been interested in photography. Sometimes I feel like I've dreamt it because I don't remember my school year so well. But back in high school, I feel like, or maybe even junior high, I can't remember what building I was in, but maybe Mr. Trees taught a photography class for a little while, or I haven't really heard anybody talk about that afterwards.
Yeah.
But I seem to remember learning rule of thirds and some basic photography stuff from him,
Yeah.
and then we had some film cameras and learned some darkroom stuff.
Okay, so where is your favorite place to shoot?
I go out to Garden of the Gods all the time because it's close. It's beautiful, and it's really the only overlook on the east side of the forest that hasn't been covered up with trees. Like High Knob is great, but you can't see anything anymore because the canopy's grown up into the sight line of the overlook. So I go out there a lot, and I found the Wilderness Trail. I've been spending more time on it. Like you go north from the parking lot, and that's a really nice trail to hike, and there's not as many people, and I try to avoid people as much as possible, which makes Garden of the Gods a challenge.
Yeah.
Because there's almost always somebody there. In terms of nature stuff, I mean, Garden of the Gods too, but then like Camp Ondasonk is amazing. Borks Falls, which is over in Ferncliff, Goreville area. I mean, the Shawnee National Forest just has a ton of places that I like. Dutchman Lake, Meditation Falls is gorgeous, and it really, everything's so rain dependent. You just have to wait till it rains and
clouds.
Try to get there and timing is really important. And then you also have to. I guess the real answer to the question in terms of the nature and creek stuff is just where did it rain the most? Yeah, that's my favorite place.
Yeah, currently.
Because most of the time it's a storm, or you have to wait on a really heavy rain, and so I have a little website, iweather.net, and I don't know how accurate it is really, but it's the only one I found that just gives you a real quick, easy, like map of where it rained the most. And that's where I go.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us a little bit about this one.
Okay, so this is actually a metal print. So the ink is actually injected into I think it's aluminum, but you can clean it, and if you get fingerprints on it or whatever, you can just wipe it down. But this photo was taken near the Lusk Creek. I don't know if it's called Lusk Creek Road. I think it might be, but it's just where you have the Eddyville turnoff, the old store that's there. If you turn left, and then it's the main trailhead for Lusk Creek. People go down to Indian Kitchen from there. This barn is on the way to that trailhead, and it's private property. I shot this for the road because I didn't have permission to get any closer, but there was a lot of like high grass in front anyway. So I shot this at 70 millimeters, I think. It's at the very end of my zoom range, and this is what's called a deepscape. So because you're zoomed in, it's not really wide angle shot, which is what nightscapes are, landscape, the big long Milky Way, arch a lot of times. But I really like this photo because of all the detail in the sky and the dust clouds.
Now, how long would a shot like that take? What's the exposure time?
Actually, this one was pretty quick, just because I got lucky and it was all lined up when I got there. I didn't have to wait at all. The foreground, usually I do 2-minute exposures. I think this one was actually 3-minute exposure because I use a smaller aperture, which lets in less light. And I wanted to, it was really super dark. So I shot for an extra minute, I'm pretty sure, on this one. And then the night sky shots, I think, were just probably 30 seconds a piece. And I did a 4-shot panorama. And then just to make sure I got what I wanted in the frame. And then I actually cropped that down to what was just, I took a reference shot and then aligned that cropped image and then blended that in. So that one's really true, very true to scene in terms of where everything was. These are all technically composites because you shoot the foreground separate than the sky. But in the night sky lingo, we don't call them composites because almost every nightscape you see is going to be a composite. So
I was personally curious.
We call things composite if you move the camera. Or if you shoot a different time of day. Because sometimes you have to shoot during the daytime. There's a photo over there of the flowers at Rendleman's. I had to shoot that at sunset because there was a lot of wind and I had to focus that. So everything had to be as still as I could make it.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't do long exposure.
Yeah, got it. Well, thanks for talking to us today. Where can people buy your prints from?
Okay, I have a website. It's granttwiss.com. And I also do direct sales for locals only.
Okay, great.
Thanks for everyone for your support, for coming out to my exhibit here at the library, and just patronage, and thank you.